Trojan Felly, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. Listen, I hope everybody's getting ready to get up, get out, and make some things happen this morning. Listen, man. Woo! This depth chart has came out, man. And listen, we got to talk about it. But before I do that, what I want to tell you guys is this. Before we go into this depth chart, I want to tell you that it's some well-known names that I don't see on there, but I know that there was a couple of injury knickknacks that they were dealing with, such as Damani Jackson. I know he has some injuries. Joshua Jackson, the other cornerback, he has some injuries, I think. I don't think it's nothing very, very serious with Damani, but Damani's a fan favorite. Let me say that. He's just like Corey was. Corey was a fan favorite, being the #1 player. Damani got that type of star power about him, and so we really pulling for him. We pulling for everybody, but Damani's one of those guys, so I think he's going to be okay, and you're going to see those guys on the depth chart sooner or later. With Damani, but we got to talk about this depth chart, man. You guys hit me in the comment section, and I had to get my feelings out of this, and I want you guys to think about this, because USCJ, when I first seen it, my feelings were in it. You guys know I did my projected offensive depth chart, and then I did a couple months ago my defensive depth chart. And there's a few changes on there that don't match up with mine, but listen, I'm not leaking Raleigh, so you guys hit me in the comment section. Talk back to me. Tell me what you guys think. It's a lot of competition out there. We're going to get right into it. And, hey, look, we got the backyard brawl. You got Keenan Slovis and JT Daniels. It's going down tonight. Listen, we got some college football, and this is on the popping and on the cracking tonight. We got 2 more days until we get ready to get into this season, man. So you guys hit me in the comment section. Let's get right into this defensive, offensive, and special teams depth chart. Here it is right here. Let's go offensive side of the ball first. And first of all, of course, you know, QB1 is going to be Caleb Williams, which is expected. QB2 is going to be Miller Moss. And then you're going to have the 2 other backups, which is those guys that came on, those preferred walk-on guys. They're going to be 3 and 4, but I guess they're not listed here specifically because they're probably on the scout team. Moving over to running back, I found this to be kind of interesting as well. They have Travis Dye or Austin Jones. They have it as if they're both 1 and 1, and it's interesting because they got Raleek Brown basically, in my opinion, being number 2. And I told you guys coming in, I believe that Raleek Brown, of course, he's been making so much noise throughout the season. Well, throughout the fall camp, so much noise to where he's essentially moved himself into the second spot. They got 1A and 1B for Austin Jones and Travis Dye. So I think they're positioning it like that, and that's why they have it like that. So you guys hit me in the comment section. You guys tell me what you think. Now, ironically, this is weird because where's Darwin Barlow? I heard Darwin Barlow has been doing pretty decent in practice as well. So now we don't even see Darwin Barlow on here. Is he on the scout team? I haven't heard any injuries for Darwin Barlow. So you guys hit me on that one, man. That's kind of interesting to me. Let's move on to the receivers. Receivers here. Let me say this first, because I was a little bit surprised. I told you guys if I had a 4 receiver set, I'm going to pick Brandon Rice, Mario Williams, Jordan Addison, and Gary Bryant Jr. If I had a 3 receiver set, when I picked my predicting the offense, I had Jordan Addison, Gary Bryant Jr., and I had Mario Williams. However, it seems to be a little bit of a shakeup here. And here's the interesting thing. To not be in practice, that's another thing, to not really see what's going on, to enclose the practice. It kind of keeps everything on the wrap. We don't know what's what. And so we can only go by what some of the coaches report. And they were reporting that it's an extremely a strong battle in the receiver room. So now you got Brandon Rice, number 1. You got Mario 2. And then the tight end, you got Lake McCree. And Jordan Addison is going to be the number 3 receiver. So the only thing I could think of with this is that they're trying to put a big receiver on the outside, which is traditional, And you got Jordan Addison and Mario and Gary Bryant Jr. because he was penciled in as my starter. They want to put Jordan Gary Bryant Jr. I guess as the backup. And, you know, being that all these guys are the same size, around the same size, Mario, Jordan Addison, that's the only thing I can think of. Because otherwise, you look at several different breakout players or whatever, whether it's 24/7 Sports, different people. They've even had Gary Bryant as one of the top ones returning back. And he's had more yards than Brandon Rice. But, I'm going to trust the coaches that they know what they're doing. And you do, traditionally, you want to have a big receiver on the outside. So I think that's what they're doing with Brandon Rice. So is Brandon Rice, Mario, is anybody surprised? Or is this where you guys had them slotted at? Mario Williams, Lake McCree, and then Jordan Addison. For the second, you got Kyron Hudson and Kyle Ford. They're kind of doing the same thing with Travis Dye and Austin Jones. It's going to be an or thing. And the same thing, I think, with Taj Washington or Gary Bryant Jr. I think with these receivers, they're going to be switching them out so much that these guys, the way Lincoln Riley offense is structured, you're going to have a situation where, they're going to be doing a lot of rotation. So the tight ends, of course, it's going to be Lake McCree, and it has the same thing with Austin Jones and Travis Dye, Malcolm X and Lake McCree. So, and then Josh Follow, who seemed like he's been there forever. And so receivers, you're going to have Terrell Bynum and C.J. Williams. So those are the receivers. And let's look on to the offensive line. It still appears to be this battle going on between Cortland Ford and Bobby Haskins. It looks like Cortland Ford is going to get the start, but they're going to be probably the same thing, rotating these guys back and forth because that battle seems to not be over yet. For the left tackle, for the left guard, Andrew Voorhees and Gino Quino. Those are the two right there. Then for the center, Brett Nealon and Andrew Millick. For the right guard, you're going to have Justin Dillich and Joe Bryson. And then for the right tackle, Jonah Myheim and Mason Murphy. Mason Murphy has been coming on as well. So that's the offensive side of the ball. Let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. Right, for the defensive side, I think it's a little bit of a surprise here. For my starting defense, as far as safeties are concerned, I had Kalen Bullock and I had Xavier Alford. Apparently, Xavier Alford, along with Bryson Shaw, both of those guys have been nicked up. And so now we see Max Williams, who I think is a complete athlete. Max Williams is now coming in there for Xavier Alford, who led the team last year in interceptions. So is that a surprise to you? And I think with I think you got Xavier Gordon and you got Bryson Shaw, so those guys are going to be the rotating, but it looks like Max Williams is going to be your guy. Then Anthony Beavers, Anthony Beavers and Xavier Gordon, those two guys have been really coming on, from my understanding, in practice. Moving on to the cornerbacks, you got Mekhi Blackman. And I pretty much picked these guys once I heard Sierra Wright was doing this thing in practice. You got Mekhi Blackman and Sierra Wright as the two cornerbacks starting. Parfait Brown backing them up, and Jacoby Covington. For the nickel, I'm surprised you got Jalen Smith and Latrell McCutcheon. I guess he just wasn't able to pull. That's the Oklahoma transfer. I guess he wasn't able to just pull away like he desired to in the spring. In the spring, he appeared to be doing good. But in the spring, in the fall camp, it just wasn't. He just wasn't doing his thing. This is very interesting on this one though. On the Will Mike linebacker, it looked like Sean Lee's going to be the captain. Not only is he the captain, he's going to start. And just like I kind of predicted, Randall Goforth is going to be the backup. I predicted Eric Gentry was going to be the starting inside linebacker, along with he's going to be the Mike, along with Sean Lee. Tulsa Lamora, he's going to be the second string Mike, and then Rajon Davis is going to be the third string Mike. So let's move up. Rush ends. This is kind of a surprise, but I'm happy because Corey Foreman and Raleek Brown, if you guys remember, those two guys are my breakout players on the defense and the offensive side of the ball. But it looks like Ramilo Height and Corey Foreman are both going to be kind of rotating back and forth as it relates to those rush ends, particularly to keep those guys healthy. I want to see those guys stay healthy, so those guys are going to be the rush ends. And listening to Ramilo Height yesterday, Ramilo Height made some very interesting comments. he made some comments about how excellent of a defensive coordinator, how enthused and how tense Alex Grinch is as a coordinator. So as a result, he really respects that. He came from Auburn as an SEC guy, so you got to know some guys that have the intensity of an SEC type of defensive play and coaching style. So big up to them too. I love them too in that spot. Now, Dejon Bitten, D tackle, we've been hearing about him all camp. He's an absolute monster. And then you got Tyrone Talini behind him. And then you got the Sanjay Astoni, the guy from San Jose State. Look like he's trying to come. Wow, he's actually starting to, it's kind of going to be interchanging. Earl Bouquet and Sistoni Astani, those two guys, Earl Bouquet out of TCU, those two guys are going to be back and forth as relates to, I will say, the third spot. Nose tackle, Stanley, man, Big Stanley is listen, Stanley came in at nose tackle during the fall and made some noise. I thought Brandon Peely was going to be up there, but Stanley looked like he's doing his thing. He's getting a start. Well, these guys, the D line always rotate, so I'm gonna keep it the same way as Travis Dye and Austin Jones. This is gonna be 1A and 1B. Brandon Peely and Stanley getting the start basically. Jamar Saccone, he's going to be the number 2/3. This is no surprise. DN Thule is getting his spot, and of course he's been working in that rush in as well. Those guys are going to be interchangeable, and I think some of these guys that are on the DN list, Solomon Byrd and Solomon Tuiyopo, those guys are going to be probably going back and forth, rush in to end. So you got Nick Figueroa, number 2, and then you got Solo, number 3, and he worked his way up, and he's looking good. And then you got Big Solomon Byrd, transferring from Wyoming. They got him at kind of tied for third string. So that's the defense. And this is going to conclude the depth chart with the 2022 special teams chart. You're going to have field goals, Dennis Lynch. Then you're going to have Alex Stackhouse, of course, and then you're going to have kickoff. Both of those guys still on there. Alex Stackhouse just got the names reversed, and Dennis Lynch. And then you're going to have the holder, Will Rose. And then you're going to have the holder as well. Don't sleep on Aiden Sleep Dalton. And punter, Aiden Sleep Dalton again. And then Will Rose. And then the snapper is going to be Jack Casanti. And then Nathan Wineta. So that's what we have for the depth chart as far as special teams. Now I don't have the kick return and punt return, and I'm going to be assuming that it may be Brandon Rice, Gary Bryant Jr., Mario Williams, Jordan Addison. I don't know. Any of those guys can do it. Raleek Brown maybe even on kickoff as well. So this is the special teams depth chart, and this is pretty much going to conclude the depth chart. So that's the depth chart right there, man. And listen, we got to think about this. I want us to really think about and consider this because I had to get my feelings out of this. And Lincoln Riley's had a lot of experience as it relates to just, especially with the offense, man. I mean, these guys are going to be rotating in and out. I believe that some of these guys are going to be getting in more than, the way the offense is. If we could just drive it down the field, drive it down their throats, I think it's going to be a lot of rotation going on. And you got to remember, he's played in some big-time games and rotated a lot of these guys out. And so, listen, man, you guys hit me in the comment section. You guys tell me what you think about this. And I'm going to say this, and I'm out of here. When I seen the list, though, I did think some of our guys will want to go into the transfer portal, and we don't want that. We want to build a roster that has a team that everybody's going to be able to contribute. Everybody's going to be able to play. Some may play more than others, but I believe that everything's going to work out for the better. And so you guys hit me in the comment section. You guys tell me what you think about this. Like, share, subscribe. USCJ32 on Instagram. USCJ32 on Twitter. It's fight on sign and it's 2 more days sign. Fight on, fight on, fight on.